As I said, I'm Liza Wilson-Durant. I'm Associate Dean in the Volgenau School of Engineering at George Mason University, and I'm so excited to give you a very brief overview of some of the activities that we're engaged in that bring industry closer to Mason and bring our students closer to you all. And also, just want to thank you all for being here this morning. I know that you have a lot of other obligations, and you already knew that we were on the agenda, so we really appreciate you coming out to spend some time with us. So in case you didn't notice, George Mason has been growing exponentially. So we're on 3 different campuses in Virginia: Arlington, Fairfax, and Manassas. I'm going to talk in a minute a little bit about what's going on in Arlington, as that might be of some interest to you, even though it's on the other side of Virginia, but there's been a lot of excitement about what's going on over there. We enroll currently 37,500 students, and our strategic plan calls for us to grow to 43,000. We are once again this year named to be one of the Carnegie Research 1 universities. This means we're in the top tier of innovative research universities. There are only 130 universities in the country that are named to the Carnegie top research ranking. We've been recognized in many different publications, particularly noted as the most innovative, 14th most innovative in U.S. News, 10% top in U.S. public universities, Business First. We are the #1 most diverse university in Virginia, and recently ranked #2 by U.S. News and World Report. So we're really proud of these statistics, and if you've been around long enough, you know that George Mason has really transformed in recent history. A little bit about the digital tech talent. You all are from a variety of parts of industry, but some of you are focused on tech talent, and I think even if your company is not engaged in technology per se, you're using technology to do business. Right now, we are the largest producer of tech talent in Virginia. We have 5,000 computing undergraduates, and we use the word computing in a very general way to incorporate computer science, computer engineering, IT, cybersecurity engineering, systems engineering, and 1,000 students about studying master's related that range from your typical computing to data analytics and other related studies. Our future is to continue on that trajectory. Recall on the previous slide, we were going to grow to 43,000. We were always planning to continue to escalate at a very fast pace, but with the advent of Amazon's entry into the Virginia landscape, we're going ahead and launching a School of Computing. You'll be hearing more and more about that in the days to come. We're in planning sessions now about exactly what the framework will be for the School of Computing. But that will help us double our computing enrollment at the undergraduate level to 10,000 and our master's degree level to 5,000. And a little more about that at the very end, and then I'm happy to answer questions as well. So a little bit about how we work, how we move our students out into industry, and how we bring industry into Mason. So there are a number of things I'm going to talk very briefly about here so that I can get through in my limited amount of time, and then we can have some discussion if you like. Our degree programs are informed by industry. That means you. Of course, they come up through or organic process of discussing what's next on the forefront, and really I'm going to be talking about what's going on in the Volgenau School of Engineering, and then my colleague will talk about the School of Business. But in the Volgenau School of Engineering, we're really focused on the cutting edge of technology and engineering and trying to stay out at that forefront. So just in the past few years, we launched a new program, the first in the nation, around cybersecurity engineering, which is different than cybersecurity broadly, which is more focused. Cybersecurity is more focused on IT, network, and data security, whereas our cybersecurity engineering program is focused on cyber physical systems as well as securing data. So really thinking about the connection, if you think about utilities and water and energy and how those are all connected by sensors, or thinking about how we monitor our infrastructure, such as our bridges and traffic, and even the things that are in your car that are tracking where you're going, bringing all those sensors together and thinking about security of that data, which is becoming more and more important. So that's where our cybersecurity engineering degree came from, those ideas, but it was really helped shaped by companies like Northrop Grumman. So we're really excited about the role that industry plays as we develop new programs. We also recently launched a few years ago our master's degree in data analytics engineering, which is a bit of a different type of degree than you would find in data science, for example. So the jobs that the students are looking for today are really quite different than the jobs of their predecessors. The jobs today don't just require a knowledge of technical engineering, but really require critical thinking and innovative thinking, inventiveness. And so, we try to teach that in the classroom as much as possible, but there's no replacement for experiential learning and the role of experiential learning in helping to develop the critical mind. So we try to get an experiential learning through a number of venues. And in our strategic plan at Mason, it's our goal to have 100% of our students engaged in these high impact activities, whether it's an internship or a research opportunity or a study abroad or a service learning project. These kinds of hands-on opportunities to solve high impact problems that are really having an impact on solutions to things that are not just about engineering and technology, but things that you all care about, right? Like health or transportation, the quality of your life. So we get at that obviously through internships, which is where we engage often with companies. And in the Volgenau School, we have a goal to have all of our students have internships. And many of them do. And what's really nice about our location here in Northern Virginia is that our students don't just engage in summer internships, but they're able to work year-round, and often they do. They might have 1, 2, or 3 different kinds of internship opportunities, and actually quite a few of our students are studying at Micron, and we hope to have more in the future. So internships are super important to getting that hands-on experience. And we have probably about 3,000 students right now in the Volgenau School who are engaged in internships. And we expect to see that number grow. And in fact, recently, while our students are usually paid for their internships, engineering internships often are that way, we've enabled just recently that students can receive credit for internships, which is going to open the door for another set of students, perhaps our international students who weren't being able to obtain pay for work. And so we're excited about that, and programs will be adopting it program by program if they want to go ahead and include an internship as part of a requirement towards a major. You could always do an internship for credit, but it didn't in the past necessarily count towards your major, so there's not as much incentive to spend 3 credits on an internship. So that's a very exciting development I wanted you to be aware of. Another way we get at experiential learning is through our capstone classes. All through the Volgenau School of Engineering, we require that our students complete a senior capstone design class. Industry brings us a problem challenge, or government, we actually work quite closely with many factions of the federal government, bring us a problem challenge that the students can work on all year. They work in teams, almost as if they're consultants to you on your project, and they are mentored by faculty and subject matter experts from the company that brought us the problem challenge. And at the end of the term, they present their prototype, if it was something that they were making, or their design, or their algorithm, whatever the problem is, and we work on all sorts of different things. So capstone projects are a really important way for us to not only give students that hands-on experience, but also allow them to show industry what they can do. And often companies bring us these problem challenges because they want to be able to see how our students function in their environment. And so it's almost an audition. And usually several students from any capstone team will leave with a job offer from the company that sponsored the capstone project. So we have about 2,000 students completing capstone projects every year in the Volgenau School of Engineering. Reality course. So we try to bring the real world into the classroom. So this is me with my students out at our Smithsonian. I don't know if you know, we have a beautiful facility in Front Royal, so it's not so far from here. We bring them out in the real world, and this was a course that I led where we spent 1 week in residence out at the Smithsonian facility trying to solve water quality issues in that region. And the students were charged over that 1 week to work pretty much 24/7 on a plan to anticipate the impacts of development in that region on the water quality. There's several fragile watersheds out there. There have been a number of Superfund sites in the region. And so they spent the week developing that and then presented their findings at the end of the week. This course was not a lecture-based class, like right now I'm lecturing to you, but it was hands-on in the field, in the laboratory, and on computers modeling and simulating the entire time. So really, I was functioning more as a consultant rather than a teacher. So it was a really exciting course, and we'll be doing that again. So many of our teachers more and more are bringing this kind of learning into the classroom where we're going to stop lecturing and try to empower the students to ask us the questions and tell us what they need to know as they go along. And we mentor them through that critical thinking process. Entrepreneurship, this is a very high priority at George Mason. So many of our students are working on these really exciting projects, such as a capstone project, or they might be engaged in research projects. We have this tremendous number of undergraduates who are doing research while they're undergrads. So it's not just about the grad students who are doing research. And many of those projects have commercial value. So we're really working to help students incubate those projects and move them out to commercialization. And in that way, hopefully try and invest in the economy in Northern Virginia. I mentioned research. Of course, our students, as I said, have the opportunity to work on research, and it might come to be that they might do an independent study, or they have the opportunity to apply for financial support for summer research opportunities too. And then the last thing I want to mention to you is that this year, for the first time, Mason hosted Patriot Hacks, which was a tremendous success. It was a 48-hour hacking event over a weekend, and many of you might think of hacking as something where you're providing a problem and students have to hack into a computer, and that's sort of how it started. But now hacking is about just giving them a problem challenge and giving them a finite period of time to solve it. So a lot of the problem challenges that came to us were about thinking about, maybe it might be a different way to design a coffee mug, or it might be a different way to analyze a large set of data to provide some information. So a couple of you mentioned you had something to do with the school system. So looking at a set of school system data to try and inform new policy. So it's not just about technology, but it could be about solving an everyday problem or solving something that might have long-term implications for policy. So wanted to let you all know about that. We'll be holding another Patriot Hacks in the fall, and I'll make sure maybe I get the information to Suzanne and she can share it with you if you want to share it with your companies and think about bringing a problem challenge to that weekend. And we opened it up to the community college as well. So we had, I wish I could remember the statistics, but it probably about 300 students in our mixed facility, which is our maker space for students, and the community college students were working on the problem side by side with Mason students. So it was a really fun, exciting weekend. I wish you guys could have seen the excitement and the things that they were doing. And of course there were prizes and so on for the winners. And some of the problems didn't get solved and many of them did, and it was a lot of fun. The last, I think this is my last slide, or no, 2 more slides. One thing I also wanted to put on your radar, a couple of you mentioned that you're involved with cyber. Of course, Mason and our career services has a very robust clearance readiness program where they're teaching students about how to conduct themselves. So if they are interested in a security clearance, get rid of your social media, watch your conduct with substances and so forth, how to interact when you're traveling abroad, sort of helping them understand what that life is like and understanding what it would be like once they're in a security clearance type of position, how they're going to have to live their lives. So really preparing them for it and also collecting the data for the painful security clearance process. But we've also started something new with several companies in the Volgenau School of Engineering, and that is a clearance candidate program. And several companies have come to us and said, we're interested in clearing students while they're still in college. And we're willing to take them through that process, mentor them over a couple of years so that when they graduate as seniors, they already have the clearance, and then they're ready to go to work right away. So we can help facilitate that, and so far we've had about 60 students between 3 companies come through that process and are being cleared, and one company is even working through a top secret full scope polygraph level of clearance. So it's very, very exciting for our students. And the last thing I want to mention to you is that we recognize that education is changing. We need to be very current with the way we help people prepare for whatever's next. And a 4-year degree is not always the solution to being ready for work. And so we have many, many opportunities for certificates and other smaller chunks of learning over time. A couple of example certificates here, applied cybersecurity, and I can provide you lots of information about certificate programs. But I wanted to draw your attention to this new digital technology credential that we worked on with the Greater Washington Partnership. You may have heard about this. The GWP was very interested in ensuring that students have the skills, knowledge, and abilities in cybersecurity, data analytics, and machine learning and artificial intelligence. And so came to all the academic institutions in the region and said, how can we make sure that there's some sort of standardization of the knowledge that students know? And we're not talking just about computer scientists and engineers, but actually we're talking about students studying psychology and history and English and maybe just math, not really loving math and not wanting to do the engineering side of it, or public policy. And so Mason worked to develop a digital credential, which consists of this suite of classes. It's 5 classes, so kind of like about as many as you would take for a certificate. And the students would take this set of classes that actually are embedded in our data analysis minor. So we have a data analysis minor. We actually have 200 students from across Mason who are currently enrolled in the data analysis minor. And students can elect a certain pathway through that minor, which has lots of options for courses to meet the minor. And this is the pathway, so you can get a feel for what the GWP was looking for. But if students complete this, then they'll be eligible for special engagement with the GWP companies. So special mentoring, special events, first review of their resume. If they're in a pile of resumes, the Credential kids will pop to the top for review, opportunities for internships. So we're very excited about that. We just launched this in December, and we already have 8 students who have elected this pathway. So they've quickly picked up cybersecurity engineering and an additional class, and they're going to have, I think we have 3 scheduled to graduate in May with the digital credential and hopefully be engaging with the GWP partners. But they don't just have to engage with that group of people, they could be engaging with you as well. So if these kinds of students, and the students, by the way, the 8 students that have elected to do this are majors in business, psychology, public policy, and data science. So that gives you a feel for the fact that they're not necessarily engineers and computer scientists that are coming away with this very robust understanding of data. So we're really excited about that.